This next article from Fake News Week, Wisconsin lawmaker says he saw a white supremacist come to Kenosha race riots, vandalizing and hurt protesters. So allegedly, this is the image of the scary white supremacist? No. Says, quote, they were armed, they were destroying property, and, quote, Wisconsin State Representative David Bowie said. And so obviously this guy was here because he was part of the black looter mob. So you can't trust anything that he says. It says protests and race riots have broke out in the city following. It's not protests. They're all race riots, man. This is a multi-month long race riot. They want to kill people. That's what they're out there for. They want mob justice. They want to murder your family to get back at the white cop that's hunting down the African Americans, man. So all the African Americans have to just cry lib tears, rivers of lib tears, man, to make you feel bad for them. And how low income they are in the big city and how bad their grades are. If you're unfamiliar with how bad these people's grades are, here's a chart of the GPAs. I'm not actually making that up. It is actually a problem. I don't support this at all. I'm an engineer. I used to work as a minority outreach advisor for Portland State University. My Latina boss said we weren't hiring. We're looking to recruit African Americans. We were only looking for Latinos, Asians, and women. And it's because their GPA is unacceptable. The cutoff for the engineering school is 3.0. It's up here, buddy. It's not racism. It's reality. So what is this? The rest of it's just fluff. The rest of this is called fluff. So you read enough Fake News Week and Daily Fake Mail and Fake New York Post. What you're going to see is they have this stuff in it called fluff. So they have to put out X free articles per day to get Y subscriptions. And there's very low overhead of what they can, low profit to be made on these free articles. So, and they have to put out a lot of them to get the subscriptions. And so they fill them up with fluff. So if you just went off of what the article was, you would say, Wisconsin lawmaker said he saw a white supremacist come to Kenosha. Like, okay. That was the story, man. You won't click on the story if it was just one headline. You would read it and you would move on. So what they do is they fill it up with this shit called fluff. It says here, protests and race riots broke out in the city following shooting of 24-year-old alleged rapist Jacob Blake, who was attempting to run. The cops were trying to subdue him. They tried to wrestle him to the ground, and then he tried to run into the car to either grab a gun or commence a high-speed chase with children in the car. So the police were forced to shoot him. Nobody wants to do that, man. None of those cops wanted to do that. All of those cops wanted to go home that night without that having happened. Not a single goddamn one of them wanted to. Not a single one of these cops wants to do any of this shit, dude. None of them want to do that shit. Not a single one. But they would like you to believe that there's white cops hunting down unarmed black people, when in reality, the vast majority of people that are killed by police are armed and pose a substantial threat to the general public. That's why they shot them. They tried to not do that, but sometimes you have to do that. And if you want justice, you have to wait for the court trial. And if you don't like the verdict, Our motto here in common law is that it's better to set 20 people, innocent people or guilty people, free than to have one innocent person rot in jail. The fact that they went through this incident and had to kill these people is bad enough. But these people can't see this because they're not compassionate. They can't see it through the eyes of a police officer. All they see is race and gender. They see it's a white male. He killed an unarmed black man. And that's because he's racist. And so we have to remove the white males from power because they are privileged. And we have to attack their white privilege to make sure that they can't get ahead in life because they have infinite white privilege. And you can just attack it forever and it just won't go away because they just have endless supplies of white privilege. There is a white privilege factory where they have white privilege bars and white privilege shakes that you can go and you can get juiced up on alpha male, and this magically makes you like invincible with unlimited money. Like if you get continually attacked by these people, like it's not going to destroy your life. Obviously, if people continue to attack you nonstop all the time, of course it's going to fuck your life up, dude. Come on, man. After you fuck their life up, they're going to hate you. If that's not racism, man, that's reality. But these people don't live in reality. They live in an alternate reality where everything is backwards, because when you've been fallen victim to a Chinese cyber warfare operation, a psychological operation, everything becomes backwards because in Naziville, they turn all the signs backwards. All the signs are pointed backwards and they all lead to the same place, to the top of the ivory tower where the Nazis are, where the Chinese Communist Party is, where the ivory tower liberals work, where the ultra rich are, the ultra rich Democrats who run Silicon Valley. They're all up in the top. They're up top the ivory tower, and they all interact with each other. This is why there's so much pro-China propaganda coming from social media. It's because they're cultural Marxists. It's because they want to replace the white males in the workplace because they believe in the doctrine of diversity, which is dogmatic belief that all white teams are inferior. They believe that a team has to be diverse because they've done studies that show that diverse teams, they are more productive and they're more innovative. So they think that if you stick a bunch of black people who act like white people on a team with white people and women, that magically it becomes diversity because they're pea brain. Their brain is about the size of a pea. It's all the same to them. No, that's not what diversity means. This is what people say when they talk shit about multiculturalism. It's the doctrine of diversity. The reality of the situation is diversity is about where you live, your orthodoxy. If everybody has a heterodoxy, which is same orthodoxy, if they all think the same, they will engage in groupthink, and that is nowhere near as innovative. It's not as productive. It is inferior. Groupthink, heterodoxy, echo chambers are inferior to diverse teams. But the color of your skin means nothing. It's like the color of my clothes, dude. It literally is like the color of my clothes. But these people think that if you wear the same clothes as them, that you're on their side. If you look like a punk rocker, then you're a punk rocker. If you look like a hip hopper, then you're a hip hopper. If you look like a hippie, you're a hippie. If you look like a raver, you're a raver, right? I learned the hard way that that's not reality. It was a crushing blow. I thought these people were good people. I used to throw huge raves Biggest rave I threw had over 2,000 people with 4 stages. It was awesome. It was a psytrance, happy hardcore, drum and bass, and dubstep. Yeah. Back when it was like new, like dubstep was like brand new. It was the hottest shit. That was one of the dopest parties ever. But I learned that through throwing these parties and through being a mad doser at raves, just because they wear clothes that you make them think that they're cool does not mean they're cool. And if you're hanging around with people who are wearing fancy clothes and they're good looking and they have an in-group and they're always making you feel like shit, like you're not good enough, they're narcissists. You've fallen victim to narcissists. So these people think that if you're black, that means that you're culture. Right, because like white people don't have culture or something. Okay, that's racist. So got to shut them down. They're just going to tell you this dude's a white supremacist because he was white and he had a gun. And then as it probably is going to turn out, the dude's actually a Democrat. This is what in court, this would be called inadmissible evidence. I saw white supremacists. You're like, really? What were they, like Boogaloo Boys? Or last I heard about the Boogaloo Boys, they were out protesting with BLM against police brutality and fascism. As it turns out, Boogaloo Boys are actually really, 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 really against fascism. They hate it. They detest it. They have guns and they are so totally down to wipe fascists off the face of the planet, man. They're actually anti-fascist, but not like Antifa. They're like anti-fascist. Antifa is a communist group. Actually, I think all anti-fascists are communist. Anti-authoritarians are probably a better word to describe them. Let's move on to another one. Here I've hit this one up quite a bit.